Heavy metal
My
rock.
global mind.
I'm Robert Paduda, and today on My Global Mind, we are speaking with George Lynch to talk about the release of the new Sweet Lynch album, Heart and Sacrifice, with Michael Sweet, that's coming out on May 19th. George, welcome. It's a pleasure to always speak with you.
Thank you, Rob. I just learned something just now.
What's
the
that?
release date of our record. Nobody tells the musician anything. What an analogy I make with that. It's like when they get you the limo to go to the award show, but it's just a one-way trip.
Oh, shit.
And they get out of the parking lot and the janitor's closing it up and there's no ride. And
Oh, jeez. That is crazy. It was funny. I went to see Joe Perry last night in New York City, and he played two songs off his upcoming album. And he's up there and he goes, I don't know when it's coming out. They haven't told me yet. So I could totally understand what you're saying.
Once we deliver, dude, we're just in the dark. We're just like anyone. We have to go to the record store to buy the record. I've literally done records I've never heard.
Really?
I've never, because months go by after you deliver it till it's released. In the meantime, you're busy with all this other stuff, and you kind of forget about it. I mean, I did that record. Yeah, I did that record. I'll hear it someday. I mean, of course you heard it because you worked on it, but you never hear like the CD version of it, Yeah. I mean, not never. Usually I do, but there are cases where, I still haven't listened to the final product,
I'm still old school, so I like CD. I also like vinyl, so that's
yeah. I'm thinking. I had this discussion with Pilsen the other day, and he's got an audiophile system, with the Macintosh Power and all the great stuff. And I don't. I listen just in my car or on my iPhone. I don't even have a stereo,
Yeah.
So, which is kind of weird for a musician, but he says that he much prefers the CD over the vinyl. The vinyl is cool, but inferior as far as fidelity and stuff like that.
I agree, and I think the iPod is even less. I think you lose a lot.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous that I'm sitting here doing records and listening to mixes and making judgments on sounds and balances and arrangements, and I'm listening on an iPhone on the iPhone speaker.
Yeah, I believe it.
I literally out of convenience because I don't carry an audiophile system around with me.
I did for Christmas. I got a Marshall. It's a Marshall Bluetooth device, speaker, and it's killer, really amazing, and it blows anything away that I have. So yeah, because all my CD players, all the components and the stereo system, none of them work with anything anymore. They're useless. They're just sitting here collecting dust.
The old school stuff, yeah. I'm jealous because Marshall makes they make a couple different Marshall branded things like appliances and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the Marshall microwave.
My buddy's got the fridge.
Yeah, I have the fridge, but I went to defrost it, and I did the dumbest thing you could ever do. Is I tried to defrost it with a butcher knife and punctured the gas lines or the Freon lines. And then I tried to repair it, which you can't really repair those things. They're basically junk once you do something stupid like that. So that was a $450 mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Stick to building guitars.
Well, I just won't be a mini refrigerator repairman. And by the way, there is no such thing. I found out the hard way.
There's what?
There are no mini fridge repair places.
Oh my God.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. Who thought, right?
The regular refrigerator repair guys look down on the mini fridges. They're beneath them. They're not big enough or something. I don't know.
Well, that's funny.
But now it's so beautiful because it looks so cool because it looks like a Marshall amp, that I use it to store my vintage pedals.
Well, that's a good idea. See, it's something good. You open it up and
Not going to throw it away.
No, no, $400, you definitely won't.
No.
But you should
But once,
definitely check out the Bluetooth device. It really, if you're doing what you're saying, what you're doing with the music, it really makes a difference than just coming out of your crappy iPhone speaker, you know?
yeah, you know what? I've hit him up. I've hit Marshall up quite a few times and haven't gotten any positive feedback yet. So I'm still, you know, my birthday's coming up. You know, maybe my wife will buy it for me.
Yeah, definitely well worth it. Really well worth it.
She'll buy it for me with my money. Cool.
That's always the way. That's always the way.
Dude, are we sounding like those two older guys talking about their wives on the
Yes.
weekends?
And our old stereo equipment that's collecting dust because it doesn't work with any components.
Uh-oh, we've become those guys.
We definitely have. We definitely have. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the album now. So
It makes sense, yeah.
This is your third album with Michael. Do you ever talk to him prior to developing one to map out the details, or how the album should flow or sound, or are you just sharing riffs and ideas and making it up as you go?
A little of both.
Yeah.
And it probably would make sense to communicate a little more closely during the inception and the pre-production of the instrumental part of the record, when I'm writing the parts and the beats and so forth. Case in point, we haven't really had any hiccups. Everything has gone smooth the first two records, and on this record, and this has never happened to me in my life in 50 years or 45 years of recording, whatever, the record company rejected the majority of the record.
Wow.
Yeah, and I took that was tough on a couple levels. I had to check myself, make sure I wasn't, reacting out of ego, and I had to give consideration into their critique. But I really vehemently disagreed with their assessment of the album, not because of my ideas or anything like that. I just felt that they were absolutely wrong. And I think they kind of like to lean toward Frontiers is a melodic rock kind of label. That's what they love and that's what they focus on. And my thing in Dokken and other writing has always been to kind of give it a little harder, more interesting edge to the more accessible material, possibly. I mean, I like both, but I try to have that balance and achieve that balance on a record. So like on a Dokken record, you'd have like, It's Not Love, and then you'd have something a little heavier, Heaven Comes Down, or a fast song, Tooth and Nail or something.
Right.
And I try, always try to do that, maintain that balance. So, went back and forth, and I reluctantly agreed to rewrite 4 songs. And then out of those 4, they rejected 2 more.
Wow.
So, and I will say, to make long story short, in the end, they were right.
Wow. And
it made me think, go to the next level instead of just, I'm going to put down a beat and let's do something at 108 BPM. And, we don't have anything in this key in G, so let's do something in G. And we want it to be sort of like this song and that song. And okay, here we go. Bam. That's kind of how I put songs together. When I'm writing, where I have sort of you're writing for this project, so it has to be this style. So that's what I'm keeping back in my mind. And it is a better record for their critique, I think, because it forces us to push ourselves a little harder and be a little more focused. And so that's great. But the other side of the story is, the irony is that all those songs they rejected are now on another album that is also on Frontiers, but they didn't realize that the same songs, but with a different singer, but the same music.
Well, they will now.
Oh, well, no, they don't. They only speak Italian. They don't speak English, I don't think. So they're not going to understand unless they get translate.
What's the other project?
Lynch Mob.
Cool. Yes, I had some questions about that coming up. So yeah. So now, there's definitely an energy and chemistry that both of you have when you're working together, and it's pretty evident on these 3 albums. How has the creativity and level of engagement changed since the first album? Like, you know, you were kind of new guys working together. Now you got 3 albums in, 8 years later or so. Are you better at collaborating now?
Well, we don't really collaborate. That's the thing. I mean, other than a few conversations and some critique along the way during the process,
Yeah.
there's except for what I just described to you when some of the songs were rejected by the label. There's basically I do my thing and I send it to Michael and he does his thing, and then we send it off to the mixer and he does his thing, and everybody chimes in here and there, but it's not like this laborious process as
Not like you
opposed
getting in a room.
as opposed to other records I've worked on, and this new Lynch Mob record, Babylon in particular, which was like pulling alligator teeth. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, every single second of music was labored over 1,000 times. It was just maniacal, insane work. But all projects are different. Basically, whatever it takes to get there.
That's true. That's true. Is it more, I guess, after you've labored over something so hard and you hear the end result, are you happier than if it just comes together quicker? Like, you put a lot of energy into it and you see that result. Is that something that you appreciate more?
They're both ways are great. And
Yeah.
I enjoy both kinds of processes. KXM process is the one you described, which is just we come together for 2 weeks
Right.
and we leave with a record and we don't do any pre-production. We walk into a room without any preparation. There are no premeditated songs allowed. We just have to jam and start from there, start from scratch and end with a record in 2 weeks. There's something very gratifying about that. But there's also something frustrating about that because you don't have the luxury of that time of reflection and going to digest this a little bit, live with it, and go, this is bugging me. Let's fix this. And you don't get to do that with the KXM records. So there are big spots on KXM records where all of us are kind of like cringing, back to, we wish would have had a little, done something different there. Sounds like we just threw something in there just to throw something in there, which we did. So it's nice having that being able to kind of reflect on stuff and build stuff over time and have a little time to digest the parts and make sure that everything's working. And because it always gets better up to a point, if you do that. But then again, you lose that spontaneity thing. So it's 6 of 1.
I get it. I love the album, and every time I hear it, I find a new song that I really dig. And the one I'm really digging right now is Where I Have to Go To. Can you share some insights into that one? That was the second track.
Boy, you got me there.
Oh, all right.
I've done 2 records since that record.
Oh, okay, no problem. I get it.
If you play a little bit for me or something, like I said, if they had sent me the record, I could be able to listen to it.
How about this one? I got another question for you about the album. Your guitar tone. I thought your guitar tone, particularly on the solos, was extremely reminiscent of Under Lock and Key. And was that intentional? Because I don't remember noticing it that much on the first 2, but I noticed it more on this one.
I think that's a combination of me consciously going for that, and secondly, the mixer, Alessandro, being keyed into that.
Yeah.
And particularly that record. So, when we would speak we would talk about that. And that was one of my favorite guitar sounds, in my years of recording. We threw everything in the kit but the kitchen sink in there. We had Michael Wagner, and it was, there was a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of stuff going on technology wise on those records. We spend days just getting a guitar sound. Days. We may spend a whole day, meaning a whole 12 hours just on one solo.
Wow.
So different times, different ways of doing a record. I wasn't doing like that anymore. I've become more efficient with my time, been more economical with my time, and effective, I think. Absolutely, for sure I have. I'd show up 4 hours late, do a couple hours, and go have sushi and get drunk and never come back, and waste thousands and thousands of dollars and be ridiculously irresponsible. But now I get in and I do I do an 8 to 12 hour day, and I love it. And I'm in
Yeah.
this just the whole day, and we're just chopping wood. We're burning through it, and I'm warmed up, and I don't stop for anything. Barely lunch. We just keep going, and I love it. I love working on records like that because you get into it. You get
Yeah.
the zone, and food, and nothing matters. You lose track of time. You don't know what time it is outside. It's magnificent. I love that. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely defaulted back to my under lock and key kind of sensibilities with some of these songs because, that's still there with me. If you give me the,
Do you dial that in? I mean, do you have like the amps that you could dial in lightning strikes or Mr. Scary tone and actually emulate that on anything you play now?
I think I could play like that. Tone wise, I've changed a bit, with the gear,
Okay.
I mean, I have gear, but quite honestly, no, I don't actually have exactly what I used back then, and I should. And what those are, if anybody knows amps, is the early metal faces. I never used plexis and dock, and I used early metal amps. So there's 70, 71, 72, 73 Marshall. Some of them tremolo, some were supers, some of them were bass, and they were all modified by Frank Levi or Caswell. I think those were the two biggest mods I used. And then I had that one great SIR rental 800. And I used that a lot on the record and tried like crazy to buy it from SIR for like any price, like name your price. And they would not sell it to me. And then Slash, that's the one Slash came in and he, rented the same one. And now nobody knows where that amp is.
It disappeared.
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'd like to find it, but
that's funny. You might get it at a discount now if you can find it, right?
I don't care if it's a discount, whatever. I just want it. But
yeah.
No, I think people have been searching high and low for many decades, so I don't think it's coming back. But
talking about Mr. Scary, the song, that was revolutionary at the time, and I almost equate that to Eddie Van Halen's Eruption. Different decades, of course, but unique, melodic, catchy, and you could sing every note like you could sing Eruption every note. Was that important to your career, that song?
Oh, it wasn't even premeditated in any way. It was really just a kind of a happy accident because it was kind of a leftover tune that nobody was showing much interest in. I mean, Jeff was, but I wrote it pretty much myself. I mean, Jeff and I always work together, so we're working, he's there with me. But I was just left it with Dawn to kind of come up with something, and it was supposed to be, intended to be, I thought, a vocal song, like a heavier Dokken song. But it just didn't work, for that. And he was, how are you gonna sing that? Mr. Scary. I mean, what the fucking So it was about ready to just get left off the record, and I convinced the engineer to give me one night with it, one day night, did a whole like 15-hour, 20 hours or something.
Wow.
And I just got in there and I'm like, I'm gonna build this thing. And it just shit happened. It just, it was the guy I was working with, I think that was Wagner, no? Was that Wagner or was that, I forget who that was, but who the engineer was. But they gave me the flexibility to spend time experimenting with things. So I had my Sustainiac was a large part of that sound, which is this huge contraption, this big 10-pound box on the floor with all these cables with magnets and clamps coming off your headstock, and then cords coming up to your neck. And it's just, they make it a different version of that now, much easier to deal with. But back then, you're all strapped in, you could even move, and your guitar physically vibrating and shaking while you're playing. That achieves that feedback. It's really phenomenal effect, and I used it a lot on that song. I mean, that song is basically should be the should be in the commercial for the Sustainiac.
Wow.
So yeah, we just kept building parts and throwing everything in there but the kitchen sink, and we ended up with a framework and kind of like replacing what the vocal would have done, and not guitar singing the parts.
I got a speeding ticket to that song when I was a kid. This was just pranks.
Yeah, you get a rebate for that. You just send it to mrscary.com. We pay those for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Talking about Lock and Key, you still have this outfit? Could you say?
Which is where you'd be if you don't pay the warrant. It's outfit. No, I don't have that outfit.
It's not on a mannequin somewhere in the back room over there?
Yeah, I don't have statues or pictures of myself or gold records on my walls. I don't collect. And it was dumb not to, because all that stuff has become extremely valuable.
Yeah.
Hard rocks and collectors and things like that. But oh well. I remember
what happened to it?
I remember throwing like a huge amount of that stuff away in a trash dump. And my buddy who was helping me, I mean, literally truckloads of stuff. And he goes, "You sure you want to throw all this away?" I go, "I'm just done dragging it around, from house to house and state to state. And what is it? It's like a testament to me. I know what I've done. I don't need, I'm looking forward. I don't care about that." And I threw everything away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was probably really, really dumb to do that.
Even the gold records you threw away?
No, I gave those away.
You gave those away. Wow.
And stuff. Some hard rocks and things like that.
God, well, next time you want to give a gold album away, I'll give you my address. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gold are us. Mr. Scary's 24-hour gold record emporium. Yeah.
It'll make up for the parking, the speeding ticket I got. That'll be get it even. Got in a lot of trouble. Had to go to a class. All that crap that happens. The driving class at 18 years old. Just got my license and already in trouble.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'll try followers. I won't write anymore.
I spoke with Michael for the first album, and I think I spoke with you for the second album. And it's been 8 years, and you guys haven't toured yet that I know about or even recall. You think we'll ever see a tour of you and Michael out for these? Now you got 3 albums worth of material to play. I mean, that's pretty significant at this point.
I don't know. Unless it would really need to be an outside entity that comes in and makes it happen. I can't do it.
Okay.
And I have an agent for Lynch Mob and myself, and that's my touring world. And to throw another project in the mix would be very, very complicated and disruptive, because I have a band that I need to support. That's my core touring band, and we, in the context of Lynch Mob, we play Dokken and we play old stuff and some of my solo album material, and we jam and we play cover stuff. So I can do everything within the context of that band, and it's a great, great band. So I'm happy with that. So to tell that project and those human beings that have families and mortgages that, hey, you got to take some time off because I'm going to go do this other thing that's like this, but it's different songs. Any sense? And then you have the struggle of, okay, I got to build this new project, for live, you got to build a band, you got to rehearse. People live all around the different country. It's very expensive. Then when you go out, I'm just telling you like the inside look at this, how it works logistically from my business standpoint. I have to tell my agent, which is confusing, and the promoters. I tell my agent to go to these promoters and try to book me as, but this is George Lynch, but it's not Lynch Mob, it's Sweet Lynch. Well, what's that worth? We don't know. He's never toured. Well, anybody comes, we don't know. So, okay, we're going to give you this amount of money instead of this more amount of money for the proven project. And then I go, and then I play that market, and maybe people show up and maybe they don't. And maybe I pissed off a promoter that won't now have me back. And now, in this is kind of a technical thing, but when you play someplace, you have you can't play there again before or after for a certain amount of time within a certain radius. Exclusive. Oh, wow. So you, which what I call burning that market for a while. So now I can't go back there, you know, with Lynch Mob. So, you know,
I get it.
you got to think about all that stuff. And I think, you know, in every single project that's come down the pike, from the End Machine to KXM and so forth, Ultraphonics, Project Infidelica, these are all bands of, you know, Banishment that we thought about, and some of them have tried touring, and that's what we have to deal with.
No,
Not
that's the
saying
reality.
I love the music, I love the projects, absolutely. In a perfect world, all things being equal, I would absolutely put some energy into getting out there and fleshing this stuff out live, especially KXM. I think that's where the most demand would be. Michael and I are going to be seeing each other at the end of this month on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and we might jam and do one of the songs.
Well, that's
from, you know.
No, that's really insightful. I don't think most people, and I didn't, you know, I thought I knew a lot of stuff, and I never knew anything like that existed. So that's, I get it. Logistically, financially, all of that goes into play. So I get it.
Yeah, you know, I've just finished this. We released Banishment record earlier this year. That's a project very dear to my heart. A little more industrial-esque, but also very kind of strange, but wonderful. It's a very deep, cool record. And the guys are, you know, we put it out, I think, in February, and the guys are in the band are like really want to tour, you know, and I get that. But they're like, oh, you know, let's just play this little industrial club in Hollywood. And I go, well, it's not that easy. Complex, layered music. It requires a lot of programming. I mean, I've never really been in a band like that. I've got to completely retool my rig. There's a lot of, you know, drop tuning, and it's a very synthetic sound. I need a rack. I have to build this. I get bring my tech out. We'd have to rehearse this stuff for weeks to get it out, to figure it out. It's not like we could just throw some shit in the back of the car and go down to the heavy metal industrial club and be cool guys that, you know, oh, and who's that 68-year-old guy up there? Wasn't he in Dawkins? Why is he stretchy pants? This is an industrial club. Well, maybe that, I don't know.
You know, you should do like a George Lynch Mania, where you get like Michael to come out for 2 songs and Don to come out for 2 songs, and you play like a residency, and you do it for like 4 nights, and everybody comes to you, and you don't have to travel. That could work.
Come to me. Yeah.
I think Michael Schenker did it. Michael Schenker did Michael Schenker Fest, right? And he had all the singers across his entire era come to sing those songs. So that's could work.
I don't know how you would pull that off. That is crazy. So I go, Don, okay, Don, you're just walking out for 3 songs. Okay, Oni, you're walking out for 3 songs. Okay, Robert Mason, then you come out now. This guy, and what do we have? Like one of those cattle trailers with like all the singers and each have their own, you know, and then we got to empty it out once a day, you know, because all the, you know, waste accumulates, and you have to feed them, and you know.
You gotta feed them, right? That's too funny, because you could have the same backing band, you know, all the same musicians behind you, and then different singers come out. Now the wheels are turning. I smell the smoke all the way over here in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's well, as my new agent for that project, once you get that all set up, you call me and I'll be right there to as they say, show me the money, right?
That's exactly it. You know, you talked a little bit about Don, and you're playing with Don now. You come out for the last couple of songs. You do a set with him. I have to assume you've both taken the high road and all that mudslinging and media crap that went on back in the day, and you guys are moving on, and you're good friends now, and you're able to make it.
I mean, I'm out here. My wife and I, we're out here. We spend about half of our time out here in New Mexico. We have a place, and Don's about an hour and a half away, and he's in Santa Fe. So we're close, and no, we have a blast when we go out. I mean, that's not. You know, a lot of that old stuff was fabricated by the label, by our publicist at Elektra Records, and the label was frustrated with the fact that we weren't like Motley Crue and some of the other bands they had. You know, we didn't have a thing, we didn't have a hook, nothing to talk about, nothing to sell.
Yeah.
So Sherry Ring, who was our the head of publicity, and there's not a, you know, she was doing her job, and we went along with it. But she said we since they're done, I had a couple little things, but we didn't really have any problems. But you know, there was some business stuff that was a little weird, but they took that and they blew that up, and they told us, we had these meetings, you know, in New York City in the boardroom. This is what we're going to do. And, you know, when you have the world's biggest management company and the world's biggest record label and the biggest this and that, and they're all in there in these suits and they're telling you what to do and your whole career's on the line, you go with it, go along with it. And okay, you guys hate each other, so, you know, hit parade. Okay, you guys stand, you know, back to back and get ready to, you know, do 10 paces and turn around and shoot each other. And then all the questions from the press, because they were primed to ask us all these, they were fed all these, you know, questions about animosity towards each other. So the illusion became reality.
Oh, jeez.
The thing we built became like a real thing. And we started like arguing and having problems, and yeah, it was weird.
The band started believing the hype.
Believe in our own hype, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys took the high road. I mean, there's so much drama going out with Motley Crue right now and Kiss and stuff like that. It's good to see people maturing and saying, you know what, we could work together, and this is a good thing. So that's important, I think.
Oh, we have a get around all the time, and we got to like probably mellow out a little bit on that, because we just starts to become a comedy show. But we have a great time out there. It's super fun. Very
cool. You know, also, I saw the promo picture and on the video for Miracle, you're debuting some of your Mr. Scary guitars. You had the Desert Rose on the video for Miracle, and then I saw the promo pictures. You had some sort of Eddie Van Halen hybrid of multiple eras.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about those two guitars. Pretty sharp looking.
Well, the Desert Rose was just, you know, Michael and I had a song called Desert Rose on the first record. And so, you know, I played it when we did a video just to acknowledge that, you know, there's just some little bit of a connection there. But yeah, you know, I get those guitars, the EVH Tribute and the Desert Rose are what I call spec guitars. For me, what that means, might not really be the proper term, but for me, what it means is I'll have stuff just laying around. I'll have like old bodies, or I'll make a body, or, you know, have this neck from one of my old guitars, and I have these, you know, I have shelves with all the old necks I've had carrying around for decades, or I'll find something, you know, or whatever, you know, I just cool pickups that, you know, old prototypes that Seymour wound me, and cool old Charvel bridge parts, or, you know, whatever. They're all parts guitars. So I kind of throw them together and I'll do whatever kind of design on them. Like the Desert Rose, that was just sort of, you know, me and my tech John were working at my shop in LA for a couple of days, and we just, you know, barricaded ourselves in there for a couple of days and started just going to town on these bodies, you know, just coming up with ideas. So we had the EVH Tribute idea, and Desert Rose, and the Tree of Life was another one. It was just took a Dremel tool and carved a tree, purple and gold, and came out cool as hell. And they all play great, you know, because that's my whole thing. I always try to get that Charvel San Dimas vibe, you know.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Lee Grover, Lynn Ellsworth, all that, because I used to spend a lot of time out there, and that's where my heart is with guitar, you know, neck profiles, and, you know, that's how Eddie's guitars, same kind of thing. That's what we were all doing in SoCal in those days. So,
that one's a San Dimas one behind me. I don't know if you could see it.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah.
1987. That was 1987. Low serial number too. I don't know if you can see the number on the back. It's pretty low model.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should get rid of that stupid thing. It's old. You should get yourself a new one of the new ones.
I wish the neck wasn't pointy. You know, that was the thing at the time. You know, I liked what Warren DeMartini had. You know, the rounded ones, but it was
just a CBS Fender.
Yeah, and the other mistake was it's a Kaler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I shouldn't have got a Kaler on it. You know.
That's very Kramerish.
Yeah, but it served me well. It's a tremendous sounding guitar. One of the best sounding guitars I own. It's fantastic, and I love it.
It's a good body, Warmouth necks and wood and all that.
Yeah, I had it custom made. I had to wait like 6 months for it. You know, Because I wanted, you know, the white, I wanted the black, I wanted the ebony neck, I wanted the maple fretboard, the maple neck, the ebony fretboard. So yeah, it was all took a lot forever to get.
Yeah, those old Charvels are becoming collectible too.
They are, they are, they definitely are.
Better just better just to buy a Mr. Scary George Lynch guitar.
I know. I'm saving my pennies up for that.
Yeah.
How many have you made?
I don't know. I never counted. I'm really bad with the business. Not terrible. Not really. It's kind of seat in my pants with the business thing. You know, it's harder for me to do. But so I never kept. I mean, I have records, but I never counted them up. But I'd say it's been 10 years, maybe 12 years I've been doing this. I don't really know, somewhere around there. So I'd say if I'd been doing average of 15 a year.
Pretty good. 15 times, yeah, it's a significant amount. And you're pretty handled with the Dremel. You're better with the Dremel than you are with the butcher knife, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the butcher knife. Yeah. What I do with the butcher? Oh, mini refrigerator repair.
Right.
Business.
That's it.
So
go ahead.
I had a 10:30. I know I got
Go. Listen, thank you so much for your time today, George. Always a pleasure to speak with you. I really enjoyed talking with you. Very insightful and fascinating. Favorite guitar player. Thank you.
Entertaining and informative at the same time. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, you have
What's up?
You have a good day, and I'll talk to you next record, which will probably be like in about 6 weeks.
I'll talk to you then. I look forward to it.
Take care.
Heavy metal rock.
Global Mind.